Good morning and welcome to the 15 minutes Chassidus Shir. It's only 15 minutes in quantity. We hope it will make qualitative difference for your whole day. We're learning the Maamarim Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashono Shechalis B'Shabbos that the Rebbe said Erev Rosh Hashono Tovshin Mem Gimel. In continuing the explanation of the connection between the unfinite, unformatted, infinite Hashem and our finite world, that He created a system which is called Seder Ishtalshelus. A Seder, Ishtalshelus means a chain of worlds, one flowing to the other. The higher level connecting to the lower, that then leads into from that world to a lower world still like a chain, where the top rung is intertwined with the lower rung. And since the purpose is for the purpose of creation, the inner intention is that there should be Yidden in Olam Hazeh serving Hashem. So there's a structure that ends up being in us, in here in this world, a nefesh beguf. A similar dynamic is above. So you'll have 10 spheres, you have Iris and Kalim, you have within this also. There's the rotzen that Hashem has, the energy behind that, the rotzen, the will to create all of this. And so the spheres, besides being called Esespheres, or the different names of Hashem, Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke, and Shem Elikim, as they reflect in the different spheres, the mitzvahs that we do are also linked to these mitzvahs. For example, the mitzvah of Krishma is connected to the letter Yud of Hashem's name, Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke. The mitzvah of Tefillin is to the Hey, the first Hey. The mitzvah of tzitzis to the letter Vav, and tefillah, davening, to the final Hey. So the mitzvahs are linked to these different holy levels above. The more we understand how the inner dynamics of the Seder Ishtalshelus works, that it makes sense to us. So our mind can be wrapped around these spiritual energies. It's easy to understand Gashmias. And how things work. From a lawn, I need a lawnmower to mow the lawn, and what type and what brand, what type of car to get, what are the pluses of each car, and to understand all the things in Olam Hazeh, our Nevesh Abamis grasp very well. To help the Nevesh Abamis understand that there's Ruchnias, there's a world of Ruchnias. The more details we get of this inner dynamic, the more it can help us avoid us Hashem. The more we realize that we're attached to this also, and the impact of what we do is not just an act in Olam Hazeh, on planet Earth, in this universe, but impacts all the spiritual worlds as well. And there's a flow and bonding between the two. So the more we realize that and understand what we're accomplishing through the Torah mitzvahs, the greater chayas we will have in Torah mitzvahs and fulfill the purpose of why we are alive and why the world was created. And so in the Torah, there's 248 positive mitzvahs. These mitzvahs are also in spiritual terms. We do the mitzvahs physically, but there's a spiritual counterpart to the mitzvahs as well. And so the mitzvahs, the Kabbalah refers to the mitzvahs as Ramach Avrim de Malka, the 248 limbs of Hashem. There's a commonality between our mitzvahs that we do and the spiritual levels above. They're called Ramach Avrim, 248 limbs. What's a limb? By a person, when you have a limb that's working, that's well, the hand, for example, the hand's a healthy hand, and you want to write or move it, you can write, you can move it. If you have a healthy feet, you can walk or dance. So as soon as you have the limb has within it the ability to function, the ability to move, the ability to write, the ability to walk in the feet, the ability to move or throw something with the hand. You don't have to go somewhere to find the soul power to activate the hand. It's an operating system of a limb that works. Lamaila, you have a similar thing. There's this Oiris and Kalim. There's a Spheres Lamaila. There's the energy and that which contains the energy. In general terms, the Giloi is the Oir, and that which contains it and formats it in a specific manner is the Kali. And the two types of energy. In short, to understand this type of thing, you have, for example, a person's ability to speak. The speaking is letters. What you speak is seichel or feelings. So how do you get your feelings out to tell somebody else? How do you get your ideas out to even get it clear in your own head with thought, thinking it out and putting it into words or on paper? You need letters. Letters is an ability, processing of language is the ability to communicate in an organized system. And so you've got within yourself, you've got the ability to express something, gilui, and which is the feelings or the ideas, and then you've got that which, in order to limit it into a way that it can be useful not only to the person but even to someone outside. So the letters, the ability to speak language is unique to human beings. And what do you put in that? Communicable intelligence or feelings. Lamaila, it's called Oiris and Kalim. There's a Gili of Oira Chesed and there's a Kliya Chesed. Gili of Oira Gvura and the Kali of Gvura. And these are a formatted system that Hashem created, that from this comes our neshama, and so our neshama also has the 10 spheres. Of Chochmah bin Adas, Seichel, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod Yesod, Malchus, the 7 midos. So the mitzvahs l'mayl, the mitzvahs that we have are physical commandments to do, but they're sourced in the spiritual worlds. And so you have the similar dynamic of what we do here in spiritual terms. So for example, take tefillin. Tefillin we put on the hand against the heart and on the head against the brain. And besides, it's a mitzvah in the Torah. The kavana pnimis is that mayach shalt alalev. There should be hamshacha from meichen into midas. The mind should rule the heart, and so the mind and heart should be in harmony in order to serve Hashem. So when your mind rules the heart, when you exercise the brain, what should be done, how should things go, how the mind can impact the feelings of the heart. That we call the hamshachas, seichel to midas, a drawing down of seichel into midas, mind ruling over the emotions. L'mayla, you have such inyanim. There's the inyanim of seichel l'mayla, let's say chochmah and bina, and there's the midas and chesed and gvura. The midas are those which are active, are geared towards the making of the world, and the seichel is higher than that which of worldliness. The same way as by a person, you have midos. Midos is how you interact with somebody else. Somebody else affects you. Either you want to get close to them or stay away from them. And intellect you need for yourself. To understand something, you need quiet, nobody else around. The midos l'mayla is what's geared to in creation of the world. Hashem, the world was created in 6 days, referring to the 6 midos. Tzayir is kodma la'olam, is chochmah and bina, is the kodma higher than the world, and so it's a higher darga. So when you put on tefillin, you bring in, same way as it goes on the head to bring moichin into midas, so this affects l'mayla as well. The Gemara says, Yidden put on tefillin, Hashem puts on tefillin. And the Gemara discusses what's in Hashem's tefillin. So Chassidus explains that the tefillin is the hamshacha of moichin into midas shalamayla. That there's a connection of not only does it happen, there is that mitzvah l'mayla, which is, and all the mitzvahs are like that. And not only that there is such an entity l'mayla, but the next piece is that there's that when a yid does a mitzvah, it affects the inyanim l'mayla. So the first thing to get clear is that there's this structure l'mayla, a ruchnistic structure, which is called Ramach Evrim de Malka, which is the spiritual correspondence of the corresponding levels of all the types of mitzvahs that we do here. Basically, it's to do with which is the combination and effect in the Esespheres Lamaila, and that also there's the overlay of the working together with the different names of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and the Shem Elikim, on many multiple levels. And so you've got the mitzvahs that we do here, which are a command of stuff to do. They start in the Ruchnisdike worlds, and so you've got the Ramach mitzvahs, which are called Ramach Evrin de Malka. And the same way as you have a limb here, that when you've got the body and soul dynamic, you've got the healthy hand, then you're able to move it with the koyach that's in it. So Lamaila, you have also, there's a gili of Elokus in a certain way, depending on what the mitzvah is. So, in other words, the mitzvahs below reflect the mitzvahs above, and in spiritual terms of how their dynamics work. And that's a spiritual entities that exist l'mayla. You don't have to do anything. Hashem created them. And that's the flow of energy coming to our world. And the reason we have the Ramach mitzvahs here is because it flows out of those Ramach mitzvahs above. They're called Avim de Malka because it's the flow of energy from above to below. Same way as the limbs are in a Lebedika person. There's a flow of energy. There's a second point, and that is that there's a bonding and connection between the two, which the language of this Maamar, and Chassidus in general, is Rusa de Lasata, is Rusa de La'ela. That when there's a Rusa means an arousal from below, is a Rusa de Lasata, elicits a Rusa de La'ela, an arousal from above. This also can be taken on many different levels. You can have, for example, a child asking something from a parent. They need something, they want something. Sometimes the answer will be yes, sometimes the answer will be no. The stronger the bond between the two, the answer is likely to be yes. What I would like will be accomplished. The deeper the bond is, so that when there's a request, there'll be an answer. In Ruchnisdike terms, when a Yid does a mitzvah, there's an automatic response l'mayla. It's not like you're asking for something. Davening, you're asking for something. The answer could be yes or no, or in part. Or it could be something, an answer that's not how you thought it would show up to be. When we do a mitzvah, Hashem set up the system that when you put on tefillin, you're influencing and impacting those levels above that correspond to the tefillin. That's what's happening. So it's the language is Rusa de L'Sata, is Rusa de La'ela, which we'll see inside, I think next shir, is that the mitzvahs we do impact, are locked into, and have an effect above. Not only do they have an effect above, the whole purpose of why these entities exist above in Ruchnis is in order for the Yid to do the mitzvah. So when you do the mitzvah, you add in the energy that's drawn into these levels above. So we say the mitzvahs above, Ramach Evrim de Malka, they're referred to different levels of godliness, of Elokus. And so the mitzvahs are geared to impact these levels in specific ways. So much so that you can add to the energy within the mitzvah, because they're not just our view is that they're created, that they're the highest thing, and we're the lowest thing because we're in Gashmis. The emphasis is it's the opposite. They're created in order for a Yid to be able to learn Torah and do mitzvahs. So when we do the mitzvahs, those levels are impacted and uplifted also. So we'll continue in Mitzvah Hashem next year. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.